Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic, and I want to welcome you to my channel, Opinion Stated, where I give unfiltered, opinionated sports takes. Let's go. Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic. I want to welcome you back to my channel, Opinion Stated, and I've got a really good episode planned. If you've already seen the thumbnail, you know exactly what direction I'm headed into. This particular episode is regarding this past weekend's trade rumors that exploded all over social media today. They pervaded in the legacy media space, like the mainstream media space, and also in the independent media space through the weekend. It was kicked around a bunch yesterday, obviously. Just about, hey, man, these four teams are interested in LeBron James reportedly. This team, that team, that team, this team, you get a team, you get a team, everybody gets a team. Is like ridiculous. And I am of the belief that there is no trade market for LeBron James. I am standing firm on that belief. I am also standing firm, if you've also seen or already seen the thumbnail, that these trade rumors are lies. And I'm going to dig into that here in this episode. Before we dive deep into this content, do me a huge favor. Like the video. Liking the video helps us cruise along algorithm avenue to get into the presence of individuals just like yourself who might be interested in this kind of content. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Clicking the notification bell helps to keep you in the know and in the loop as to when my newest episodes are uploaded. God damn fun. I'm so excited about this one. It's just because, man, if you have been a fan of the NBA for a while, a fan of LeBron James, cognizant of his representation, his agent being Rich Paul and LeBron's whole clique, you know, man, that they just be on their bullshit. And it's not even like it's, you know, some covert, you know what I mean, operation or scheme that they run half the time. It's so paper thin, man, so see-through. It's ridiculously transparent. And so in this particular instance, I feel like what they're doing is transparent. Without further ado, I'm going to entitle today's episode, LeBron Trade Rumors Are Lies. Fucking lies. And again, as I dig into this content, I'm going to explore the recently released, I believe it was on Friday, ESPN published an article by Ramona Shelburne and Brian Windhorst. I'm going to dig just into a bit of that. So I'm just going to kind of clip it up. If you didn't catch our previous episode, I went through the entire article and kind of dissected it and then gave some opinions. Go back and check that video out, that episode at your leisure. I'm telling you, it's a phenomenal episode. I had a lot of fun doing that one. So I'm going to revisit just a few pieces of that article to help to tie together this notion and idea that LeBron and Rich are lying about these trade rumors, these supposed teams that are interested in LeBron James. I am also going to dig into a few clips, one from First Things First, where Nick Wright and Chris Broussard were talking. And I'm also going to get into NBA, you know, insider and financial guru in terms of the salary caps and all that stuff. Second apron being Bobby Marks. So without further ado, man, I want to talk about, first and foremost, you know, to bring us to up to date, LeBron James on June 30th accepted his $52.6 million player option for this coming season, which means accepting the option means he's accepting the money, that $52.6 million that he'll be earning for this season, as opposed to opting out of the exception and allowing the team to restructure a deal for him that included this year's pay and also maybe future subsequent years. Follow me? All right, cool. So LeBron decided to pick up the $52.6 million. Keep in mind also that LeBron James has a no trade clause in this contract, the one that he's still presently under, with having accepted this exception or opting in. And that means he cannot be traded to any team in the association without first or giving approval to the Lakers to say, hey, man, yeah, I'm cool with that. Go ahead and pull the trigger on that trade. I also have already said in this video, this episode, that I don't think that there's a market for LeBron James. So I wanted to state all those things as fact first before I give my opinion that I don't think that there's any, in my opinion, there's no trade market for him at $52.6 million at 40 years old, soon to be 41. December 30th, LeBron turns 41 years old. There's no market for a 41-year-old making that much money. It's no market for him. Now, I can already hear some of the LeBron James fans saying, "What are you talking about? He's putting up numbers. He's still balling out." And well, I mean, LeBron James averaged 24.4 points a game this previous season, the 24-25 season. He averaged 7.8 rebounds. He averaged 8.2 assists on 51.3% shooting and 37.6% from three. So LeBron's stat line, and as far as his averages go from last season, man, they look very impressive. They look very impressive. But what these stats don't show is that LeBron is a piss poor defender. He had the worst plus minus on his team last year. You know what I mean? So that box plus minus is ask all of these analytical, folks, these folks who love the analytics. That box plus minus is a big deal. And LeBron James is not a good defender. He's a liability on defense. So yeah, the numbers that he's able to put up look good on paper. They're good enough for third team All NBA, which he was awarded, this season, or voted as, third team All NBA player, which makes him like a top 15 player in the association, oddly enough. But those 24.4 points a game and the almost 8 assists or 8 rebounds and 8 assists don't translate over to winning. Not in LA. And on some other team, LeBron James would have a different role. Would these numbers still be these numbers? Maybe. It's LeBron James. Maybe they would be. But that defense and, you know what I mean, like everything else, and that style of play, that system of play, all matter as well. And his age is a big factor. His age is a big factor. These are the final years of LeBron James's basketball career. That's just a reality, right? He has this season upcoming. If he makes it through this season, it feels like he wants to continue to play beyond that, and maybe a season after that, and maybe he could stretch it out to maybe even 3 more seasons if he, in his mind, feels like he wants to play, because his body says that he can still run up and down the court. But in terms of value, come on, like realistic value that LeBron James is adding to a team at this age, bro. Like, come on. Like, seriously, is it contributing to winning? I think that what fans have to do is detach themselves from the nostalgia of LeBron James and realize that it happens to the best of us, man. We sometimes we just get older, if you're lucky, if you're fortunate. And, with that age comes attrition. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do the things that you used to do. It's just that's just life. That's just how it goes, So again, I am of the belief that there is no trade market for LeBron James. There's no trade market for LeBron James. But how did we get here? I already talked about him opting into the $52.6 million salary for this season. And the day after doing that, his agent, Rich Paul, goes on record with the following statement. LeBron wants to compete for a championship. He knows the Lakers are building for the future. He understands that, but he values a realistic chance of winning it all. We are very appreciative of the partnership that we've had for 8 years with Jeannie and Rob, and consider the Lakers as a critical part of his career. Rich goes on to say, we understand the difficulty in winning now while preparing for the future. We do want to evaluate what's best for LeBron at this stage in his life and career. He wants to make every season he has left count, and the Lakers understand that, are supportive, and want what's best for him. Those are the words of Rich Paul. Why Rich Paul was volunteering this statement after LeBron, literally the day after LeBron opted into a $52.6 million contract agreement or salary for the season, created quite man, the scuffle online amongst prognosticators. You know what I mean? Those who in our brains were just like, that's a contradictory statement there. LeBron can't be interested in winning a championship as Rich Paul, his representative, his mouthpiece to the media, to the public, is saying, because he just opted into a $52.6 million contract. So my position was, bro, that's a bit contradictory there. Those actions don't line up with the statements that Rich is now putting out. And so then as you dig a little bit deeper, you're like, well, they're saying that, you know, they would like to see the Lakers build toward championship contention now, in the here and now, as opposed to deciding to do so later. And so the argument was that they could totally do that if LeBron wasn't making so much money at the top. He and Luka are accounting for better than almost like 60% of the salary for this team, so, you know, or that of the cap. I have to look at the actual percentages to be sure, but it's a huge amount that the two of them, they're super top heavy as a team with two, you know what I mean, like mega contracts on the books. And so a way to contend and to set yourself up for contention would be to kind of take less money and divvy some of the money up amongst other players. But that didn't happen. So that created quite, you know what I mean, like I said, the scuttle online. Since then, a lot has been said, you know, clearly about Rich's statements, and a lot has been made of the statements. And so what I want to do, after hearing about, you know, all of the statements, I hadn't heard anything from Rich Paul himself. And today, while watching the NBA Today, there was a bit of a clip where Rich Paul actually spoke about the comments that he made. And so I want to dig into Rich's response, get into his response, and I'll come back and I'll offer my opinion.
Plenty of read into the past tense verbiage used by the Clutch Sports CEO. And on a recent appearance on SiriusXM Radio, he discussed the situation further.
It's not for us to rebuttal or to try to give clarity on what's said, what's not said. That's not the focus. The focus is, hey, man, enjoy your summer. There's never been an expectation on anyone like it's been on him.
So that's Rich Paul. You know what I mean? It's not for us to, you know, to comment on, to make rebuttals, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it just kind of, I said what I said. and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? That's okay. His whole thing to LeBron is just enjoy your summer and collect your $52.6 million next season. And while I don't have, you know, an issue with that, I don't have a problem with that. I feel like, you know, because there's no trade market for LeBron James, the tactics toward or being employed toward kind of lighting a fire under the Lakers organization were the impetus for those particular statements. Say, no, it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, the statements were kind of downplaying them is weird. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like it's quite obvious, which brings us to the article from ESPN that was authored by Ramona Shelbourne and one Brian Windhorst. That article, again, from Friday, was entitled LeBron James to Luka Doncic, Inside the Most Delicate Superstar Transition in NBA History. Bringing us up to speed. LeBron James opted into the $52.6 million. Rich says, you know what I'm saying? Say what I said about it. I've already given you the input on what most were saying and most thinking about, you know what I'm saying? Like, take less money and you kind of help the team out. Let's talk about the staying with the statements, though. There was a portion of this article that spoke specifically to the statements of Rich Paul, which I want to highlight. Let's get into them. The article reads, before Paul released that statement, he gave a heads up to Doncic and the Lakers. Paul called Seager being Laura Beth Seager, the agent and representation for Luka Doncic. Paul called Seager with whom he has a relationship and wanted to extend an olive branch, some sources said. He wanted to make it clear James has always appreciated Doncic's admiration for him and knows that Doncic understands the business of the league. That this wasn't a reflection on how James felt about their experience playing together. And Paul suggested that if James eventually made any further moves, he would communicate them. The article goes on to say, James understood the Lakers taking advantage of an opportunity to pivot to the younger superstar. But from James's perspective, sources said, nuance was sometimes lost during the transition. Doncic had never asked to be a Laker. James, for his part, had chosen LA coming in 2018 when the team had missed the playoffs 5 consecutive seasons, the worst run for the franchise since it moved from Minneapolis. 2 years later, James had helped deliver a 17th championship. The article goes on to conclude, just for the purposes of this episode, Paul also had to formally inform the Lakers that James intended to pick up the final year of his contract after the team did not engage in any substantial discussions about extending him by a year or two, sources said, as they had done twice previously during James's Lakers tenure. It was then that he let the organization know about the coming statement. Closing. The Lakers had already made their statement in not offering James a contract beyond this season. It was abundantly clear that the 21-time All-Star's time as the face of the Lakers had for the first time a planned end date, even if James's record-setting NBA career did not yet. And so I wanted to tie that portion of the article to Rich Paul's statements, to Rich Paul's comment, to the reality of LeBron James opting into his contract, which the article said Rich Paul had to formally inform the Lakers that they intended to pick up this contract because the Lakers hadn't done anything to substantially engage with them regarding extending LeBron's contract. And so because they didn't hit up Rich Paul and organize some meeting or get into some talks, Rich Paul claps back in the media like, look, man, this is what we're trying to do. We want to win a championship. This was his way of getting his voice heard because the Lakers hadn't reached out to hear his voice. They're sidestepping anything that you guys have to share with us at this point. We're on the hook for $52.6 million to you, brother. That's it. And so they did not formally reach out, or he had to formally reach out to the Lakers as opposed to the Lakers reaching out directly to them to say, hey,
man, let's extend LeBron beyond this. What's he thinking about doing? Because we could offer him this. If you guys are thinking about extending, we want to extend it.
Didn't even open the door for discussion. The Lakers did not. So again, that takes away from all this. Well, LeBron, if you wanted, you could have just took less money. I guess he could not have because the Lakers didn't even enter into conversation with LeBron about it. Not only that, but while watching First Things First today, I don't know if this was incidentally, but there was some additional information like that can be sourced now to Nick Wright of First Things First. I want to get into Nick's comments as he and Bruce Hart had a conversation right here.
But I'll be honest, if I'm the Lakers, I want LeBron on 1-year deals going forward. But at 40 years old, LeBron could fall. I don't think he will, but he could fall off in February and just not be the same player anymore. And then why would you want to lock him up next year for $52 million? So I just think.
And Dave McMenamin reported during Summer League that he had talked, not from sources, from talking to Rich Paul, like I know you have and I have, that they didn't ask for the player. They didn't ask for an
Right.
extension. And Dave McMenamin reported during Summer League that he had talked, not from sources, from talking to Rich Paul, like I know you have and I have, that they didn't ask for the player. They didn't ask for an extension. And Dave McMenamin reported during Summer League that he had talked, not from sources, from talking to Rich Paul, like I know you have and I have, that they didn't ask for the player. They didn't ask for an extension.
Dave McMenamin reported during Summer League, that was just over the weekend, that not from sources, but from talking directly to Rich Paul, that Rich Paul and LeBron didn't even ask for an extension. They didn't have a chance to ask for an extension because the Lakers didn't even enter into the conversation with them. You see how these two things tie together? And so this is why I'm saying that these trade rumors are a fucking lie, bro. And there's nobody talking to them about trading for LeBron. Nobody's interested in trading for LeBron. This is just Rich Paul's way of saying, like, some other people still interested. If y'all ain't interested, no, clearly they're interested. They were cool with him picking up his $52.6 million option. They're just not interested beyond this season. They're not interested in the Lakers not interested in LeBron James beyond this season. They want to see how this season plays out. Rightfully so. For the 41-year-olds, like soon to be 41-year-old, it makes sense. It makes sense. But again, I just wanted you guys to hear what I heard because I was like, interesting. They didn't offer you guys the extension and you didn't even ask for it. Interesting. Very interesting. Last but not least, I want to dig into the Bobby Marks comments that I referenced already. And in so doing, I want to make sure that I drive home the point that there's no trade market for LeBron James because trades don't even make sense. I'm going to say this before you guys hear what Bobby Marks has to say about this. No trade for LeBron James mathematically can even make sense for a contending team or from the standpoint of what's going to happen with their roster structures, etc. Listen for yourselves.
All right, look, let's get in our front office insider, Bobby Marks, who joins us now from Vegas as well. All right, 4 teams have allegedly reached out in interest about trading for LeBron James. Bobby, who could realistically get a deal done, though?
Well, that's the biggest question, George, is like, what does LeBron James want? And here's a player, one of 2, that has a no trade clause in his contract. His contract's at $53 million. Certainly when you look at teams like Golden State, that would, of course, probably make the most sense when you're trying to swap Jimmy Butler out for LeBron James. That trade actually works when you look at it from a perspective. The question would be, of course, would the Lakers want an extra year of Jimmy Butler? Remember, this is a team that's prioritizing cap space post LeBron James. I think the second team, of course, is the New York Knicks. Of course, when you look at a player like Karl Anthony Towns, that trade matches. They have players like OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart. It does become a little bit complicated because of the finances. And of course, the Los Angeles Clippers right across the way. But as we've said, it would cost you something to trade a player like Kawhi Leonard, perhaps. So that's the biggest question there. I think unrealistic teams are potentially Cleveland. Cleveland will certainly be mentioned a lot if LeBron James ever became available because of their finances in the second apron. It is unrealistic that the Cleveland Cavaliers could potentially trade for LeBron James. I do think realistically, if he became a free agent, now that opens up the door for a lot of teams to go out and sign him there, because I keep on going back to that statement. He wants to compete for a championship. And in any trade, as you guys know, it's going to take 2 or 3 players from that team to potentially trade away that he would be walking into.
All right.
So listen, man. Listen. Not playing with these folks, but that doesn't even make sense. And so the first team that he brought up there was the Golden State Warriors. And so we're talking Golden State and proffered, Jimmy Butler for LeBron James straight up. Like, that's it. Oh, that's the move right there because the math makes sense. So let's talk about this foolishness because the math makes sense. It's not going to happen. We're talking about a 35-year-old player for a 41-year-old player. Why in the fuck would Golden State trade Jimmy Butler for LeBron James at this stage? It's foolishness. It's a fucking lie. It doesn't even make sense. It literally makes 0 sense, bro. Next up, let's talk about Karl Anthony Towns. Cat's probably like,
where's my name coming up in this?
me talking Cat, OG Anunoby, potentially, as they said, Mikal Bridges, who's probably like, man, why y'all pick, man, let me enjoy my summer, bro. You know what I'm saying? And bringing up these players as a potential, for some mathematical figure it out to make the $52.6 million match that LeBron James is about to be earning this season make sense in a swap trade for LeBron with any of the aforementioned players. Why would New York do that? Again, for a 41-year dinosaur, why would you do that? It makes 0 sense. It makes no sense. Mortgage in the future for some supposed right now, as though LeBron James is that guy, and just putting him on your team even at this stage of his career means you're going to win a championship. It doesn't make any sense. Makes 0 sense. Not happening. It's a fucking lie. Take the Knicks name out your mouth, bro. Y'all lying. Next up, they talked about the Clippers. The Clippers. The Clippers would trade Kawhi Leonard. Now listen for a second. Look at Linda. Kawhi Leonard just turned 34 years old. Kawhi, the oft-injured Kawhi Leonard. The ain't playing anywhere near 60 games a year Kawhi Leonard. Is limps through the season. That's kind of fitting as an even trade. I mean, considering Kawhi doesn't really play, I'd still take limping Kawhi Leonard over the 41-year-old at this point. Come on, bro. What are we talking about here? It's not happening. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even add up, especially given that the Clippers just got rid of Norman Powell. Makes 0 sense. It's a lie. Move on. Who's next? Man, they said Cleveland. Man, we talking Cleveland. And so these LeBron James trade rumors, in my estimation, are nothing more than media spin for the purpose of Rich Paul trying to make it appear that there's some market and LeBron has all this value to other organizations in the NBA. It's not true. He's making way too much money this season. You heard Bobby Marks say there at the end, Cleveland might be interested if he becomes a free agent. Yeah, because then you're selling him to a league minimum. You know what I mean? Like that's a couple bucks relative to what he's making right now. You're talking 14 million versus 52 million. Like, yeah, we can get him in under one of these player exceptions at that point. Whole bunch of teams will be interested in picking him up for 15 million. We'll try him out. But not at this 52.6 million that he's coming in, because as Bobby Marks also eloquently stated, I mean, the reality is any one of these teams would have to package together 2 to 3 players in order to make that money line up and match up, unless you're giving away somebody at the top of the salary bracket, like a Jimmy Butler, like a Karl Anthony Towns. But they have so much time remaining in terms of their career trajectory and ahead of LeBron James, Cat, Karl Anthony Towns, or Karl's 29 years old. You understand? Why would you swap out he for LeBron? That doesn't even make sense. Doesn't even add up. So again, guys, I think that the LeBron James trade rumors are lies. I think I've made an effective case as to how. That has been the basis of this episode. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Like the video if you haven't done so already. Also subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you guys in the very next episode. Until then, take care of yourselves. Blessings.